All right, welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon reviews. 4 reviews up this week. The first of which is Shooty Robot Invasion. That is the real name of this game, by the way. Yes, it is a very cheeky and quote-unquote comedy-infested game. More on that in a bit. But aside from that, it also bills itself as an absurdist FPS interactive fiction game where you murder stupid robots, chat with idiot people, and explore a painstakingly hand-drawn and highly animated world. And I think I know what world this occupies. It comes from Planet Adult Swim. Because...
Well, I guess I should ask, the funny era of Adult Swim or the why is this still here era of Adult Swim?
It'd be the present era, so whatever era you feel like that, what today is that era. Because try to guess what show the dev was talking about on his Twitter feed. The answer is Smiling Friends.
I actually have not watched that, so I would not know.
Yeah, I can kind of see that with the art style.
Yeah, I'm like... I have not seen 1 second of an actual Smiling Friends episode, and I connected the dots like 2 seconds in. This is such an Adult Swim-ass game.
It probably would have been published by Adult Swim Games, should that still existed?
Yes, I firmly believe that. Unfortunately, Adult Swim Games hasn't existed in about 5 years, so kind of missed the boat there.
Hard to publish something when you no longer exist.
Yes, it is. I will say, as obnoxious as the game as I find the game, because let's face it, you're really into this kind of humor, you're stoned, or you approach it at a distance.
Or you're under the age of 17.
Yeah. I'm like, this is something that I could see my now teenage nephew getting into in a few years. Not quite now. He's still a little young for the Adult Swim thing, but give him about 3 years and yeah, this would be right up the alley. But getting back to my point, it is nice to see a indie FPS game or something that's building itself as an quasi FPS not be a boomer shooter. Because this game, it's definitely there's a bit of an irony here that a game called Shooty isn't a boomer shooter. If I had to get down mechanically, it's more of an arena shooter. We've talked about that before. See our Impaler review. It's got more in common with that than, say, Dusk. Or a Medieval, etc., etc., etc. But the other part of this gaming jambalaya is the interactive fiction. I think it would be better to call this a first-person adventure game. Because, there's a lot of cutscenes and dialogue. I wouldn't put this in the same camp as a visual novel or fucking Zork. But it is definitely different from a lot of other FPS games, because the actual goal of the game is to complete objectives. You go talk to people, you go do the thing that they want you to do, and you progress in the game. That has its drawbacks, because this is very much a non-handholdy type of game. I'm not exactly sure what terminology to use here, but you know, you've got to you'll still be pointed in the direction of like the people, the objects, but you've got no map, you've got no fucking waypoints, you've got no large arrow, no yellow paint, none of the big AAA markers. So you will have to do a bit of exploration on your own. You know, thankfully, I suppose you also don't have to be locked into one quest. I never did figure out how to do that, win that volleyball game. Now, as far as the shooting goes, you know, the more salient FPS mechanics, it's all really simple. You really only have the twin pistols, as like you don't build up an arsenal. There are other weapons, like later on you get a sword, for example, but you know, you're not building up shotgun, assault rifle, once again, a big boomer shooter lineup. You got to deal with your 6 shooters here. And they're fine as far as FPS weapons go. Honestly, the bigger problem here is you can't change your keys. And that's kind of grounds for disqualification in my eyes right then and there. Because it is the year 2026. And I should never be going, wait, I can't change the keys to what I want?
Well, especially because this is in Unreal Engine. Yes.
There's no excuse for this. Even if instead of Unreal it was Unity, like you can change controls very easily in a pre-made engine.
Yeah.
So that seems to be more of a conscious choice. Maybe. I honestly don't know. It's one of those interview questions. But nonetheless, it does nothing. And I bring this up because I play games left-handed, so mouse and keyboard for me, reversed. I can't, I don't do WASD. WASD is very uncomfortable. It's surprisingly uncomfortable when you try to do things reversed. And, you know, just it cramps up my hands really fast. So I tend to use the arrow keys. And, you know, 99% of FPS games allow you to change your controls writ large.
Okay, I've noticed at least a problem for me. You don't have a wide enough FOV.
Yeah, that's another thing. That's another thing I did notice. There's no FOV slider.
Like, usually when games don't give you a lot of FOV, you still have some sort of radar or something to let you know when something's nearby. I'm just over here getting juggled, and it's not even letting me know what angle it's from. Yeah, and I know the dev thinks about these kind of things because you know what is in the options menu? Mouse sensitivity controls. Yeah, this was bad. I'm like, this game needs a patch before I could ever actually recommend it. Because these are, like, the FOV slider, adjustable controls, these are basic things. They should be just in Unity or in Unreal Engine. There shouldn't be anything you have to, like, program separately.
And I'm like,
at least the controller rebind.
Yes. And I did play this with the controller for as long as I can tolerate it. It's just I can't really tolerate playing first-person games with a controller. Like, I just never really adapted to that in most cases. That wasn't like Halo, It was a game that was built around the Xbox controller, literally.
Well, yeah, I was about to say Halo was designed to be played with the controller.
Right. So movement options. You've got 2 moves. You've got the mid-air dash, and that's also combined with the punch. You'll be using that a lot for mobility. You've also got the edge grabbing, because this game tries, big honkin' air quotes here, to have a parkour system. The problem is it's just absolutely awful. There was no consistency in reading the ledges at all.
Yeah, that's what I'm noticing.
And guess what? I don't think it was a required quest, but there is a quest pretty early on where you are challenged by this girl to do a game of parkour. And the caveat is you can't touch any surface, not just the ground, but any sort of roof ground. Yeah, I did not come anywhere near completing that. In fact, I just kind of laughed at that. I'm going, no, I'm not doing your quest here. I'm like, maybe if you were good at the parkour, but honestly, the parkour game isn't a common thing, but we just covered one not too long ago. That takes a specific skill set this game is not aiming for. So, and yeah, also mentioned, the humor, you're either gonna get it or you're not. I know I already talked about this, but it's.
This is one of those kind of games where the humor will literally make or break it for you.
Yeah, it's and it's not just this, because it's got the Adult Swim stoner humor, but it's also got, how do I put this? Overly self-deprecating humor, which I've got to admit I have a capping point towards.
It's okay if you point out a story thing that you do in your story is dumb once or twice, or a game mechanic that doesn't really integrate well narratively. It's okay if you point it out once or twice. If you do it too much, or if you start saying that your game is actively saying that you're joking that your game is bad, then maybe you should have spent the time and effort into making the game good instead.
Yeah, thankfully it doesn't go that far, but I'll read this blurb here. There's a billion stupid robots that need to be killed, a billion stupid people that need to be chatted with, and only you, Shooty, give barely enough of a crap to get the job done. God, that's such a mid-2000s kind of attitude. The kind of thinking that gave us the Postal series, which, okay, I suppose if you're into that kind of thing, good for you. It's very alienating as well. And like I said, the game doesn't flat out insult you, thankfully, or doesn't insult the game over and over again. But, you have to deal with that, everything is shit attitude. No. And it's another thing that's prevalent throughout the game. Nobody's invested. Nobody, there are idiots, and it's it's less about making a point, except for this guy here, who's very clearly a parody of political figures, Not specifically like Trump or anyone.
Just general politics.
Yes. But the point is, it's got a very off-putting attitude, as you expect from something this heavily influenced from Adult Swim. And you really do need to connect with that material, or there's just not enough meat on the bones here. Otherwise, because if you strip all that away, if you strip the quasi-aimless questing and so on and so forth, the actual shooting, very, very basic. Like, like the actual gunplay, the actual fighting, there's not a lot to it. At least with the mooks. The bosses might be a different story. I'll admit I didn't get to any of the bosses because, once again, this game kind of aimless and kind of sets up a whole bunch of, tasks for you to do that I didn't want to do. Amazing how that works. But anyway, aside from taste, I'd say the real problem with this game is that there's just a lack of options that shouldn't be there. And that needs to be fixed. It's like, if that ever gets patched, I give this a game a mild recommendation. As it is right now, I give it a pass.
Yeah.
I get,
being left-handed aside, even I'm over here like, the FOV just definitely still kills it for me.
Yeah.
Either FOV or you need some sort of indicator to show where you're getting hit from if they can't do an FOV adjustment.
Right. The point is it's a bit too stripped down.
Yeah.
And especially for something that doesn't even have the excuse of going retro.
Right.
Now, rating on the price scale, this game does clock in at $10, which feels appropriate for the actual amount of content and so on and so forth here.
I mean, maybe, but at the same time, we still have had $10 games that let you adjust your controls and had some sort of FOV slider.
Well, yes, I'm rating it in terms of content, not mechanics. I'm trying to determine if this game is worth $10 at all, even if fixed. Just to clarify here. And it's like, if it gets those fundamental fixes, I could see this going for $10.
Oh, yeah.
But otherwise, sadly, I have to say avoid. And I'll be honest, I thought I was going to get alienated from the comedy because I'm not the biggest Adult Swim fan. I can tolerate it depending on the show, but I never clicked with, say, Tim and Eric. I'm like, I think a preeminent example of the comedy in this game is when you get to the second robot commander base, and there's this just long joke with Shooty's, I'm gonna say, her fuck buddy, this image of a giraffe on her cell phone and showing it to you and just obscuring your vision, and it goes on and on and on and on, and it's never funny.
Well, even just the whole blurb at the start, I was just kind of sitting there like, all right, I got it. Can we get to the action, please?
Well, just in my estimation, it falls into the Adult Swim trap of saying random equals to funny. Hey, look, a giraffe has a black tongue. Isn't that hilarious?
Right.
Or, obscuring your vision with this picture. Isn't that funny? No, it isn't.
I am currently trying not to be murdered. Put the phone down so I can fight my already cramped quarters.
Yes. Anyway, so yeah, I think that'll about do it for Shooty Robot Invasion here. Be sure to tune in after the break as Petty Fan reviews Mother Machine.